The story begins with a quiet farm girl named Emily Carter, who lived on the outskirts of a small rural town. She was soft-spoken, always respectful, and more comfortable with her horses and the wide-open fields than with crowds of people. But her peaceful life at school was anything but quiet. Emily's calm demeanor, her old clothes from the farm, and her unwillingness to join the cliques made her a target. Every day, a group of students harassed her, mocking her accent, her boots, and even the lunches her mother packed from the farm. They called her a nobody, not realizing she carried a secret that could silence them all with just one phone call. Emily's father, Jonathan Carter, wasn't an ordinary man. He was the director of the FBI, one of the most powerful law enforcement figures in the country. But Emily never wanted anyone to know. She wanted to live a normal life, away from the shadow of his power. She believed she could handle the bullies on her own, and for a long time, she did. She absorbed the whispers, ignored the laughter, and held her tears until she was alone in the barn with her horses. That barn became her sanctuary, where she whispered her pain into the mane of her favorite mare, Daisy. But one day, things went too far. The group of bullies cornered her in the cafeteria. They had grown tired of her silence, tired of her resistance to break down. One shoved her tray to the floor, another grabbed her notebook, tearing out the pages she had written poetry on. Then, in front of everyone, they demanded she crawl like a dog if she wanted her book back. Emily stood frozen, her heart pounding, humiliation burning her cheeks. She shook her head, whispering no. That single act of resistance enraged them. They shoved her to the ground, laughter echoing through the cafeteria. Teachers turned their heads. Nobody came to help. For the first time, Emily felt her strength cracking. That evening, Emily sat in the barn, her eyes swollen from crying. She clutched her broken notebook and whispered, "I can't take this anymore." For years, she had refused to use her father's power to protect herself. But that night, with trembling hands, she picked up her phone. When her father answered, his voice was steady, strong, and filled with love. "Emily, what's wrong?" She broke down, finally telling him everything. There was a long silence on the other end. Then Jonathan said, with quiet authority, "No one harms my daughter. Not while I'm alive." The very next day, everything changed. Black SUVs rolled into the school parking lot. Agents in suits stepped out, scanning the campus. The entire school buzzed with confusion, fear, and curiosity. Then the principal's voice called the bullies over the intercom. Inside the office, they sat trembling as the FBI director himself entered the room. His presence was overwhelming, his voice sharp as steel. "You thought my daughter was weak. You thought her silence was fear. But let me tell you something, her silence." Emily Carter always tried to blend into the background. She wasn't the loudest in class, she wasn't on the cheerleading team, and she didn't hang out at the football field like everyone else. Instead, she wore worn-out jeans, mud-stained boots, and kept her hair tied back in a messy braid. Every morning before school, she woke up before sunrise to help her mother feed the animals on the farm, then rode the old pickup truck into town. But no matter how hard she worked, or how kind she was, it seemed like nothing could shield her from the cruelty that awaited her at school. At first, it was just whispers. Farm girl. Cow smell. Hillbilly. Emily told herself she could ignore it. But as weeks turned into months, the bullying grew worse. A group of students, led by a boy named Chase and a girl named Amber, decided that Emily's quietness made her the perfect target. They shoved her in the hallways, stole her books, and mocked her every word. "Why don't you fight back?" they sneered. Emily never answered. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want to drag her father's powerful name into her personal battles. Because her father wasn't like anyone else's. Jonathan Carter wasn't just a dad, he was the FBI director. He lived in Washington, D.C. most of the time, working late nights, handling national security crises. When he called, his voice was always tired but gentle. "How are you, Em?" "Keeping strong." And every time, Emily lied. She told him school was fine. She told him she was happy. She never wanted him to worry. But the bullies didn't stop. One day, after Emily refused to crawl on the cafeteria floor for their amusement, Chase shoved her hard enough that she hit her knees. Laughter roared around her like thunder. Amber recorded it on her phone. Emily's hands shook as she scrambled to pick up her things, but her eyes filled with tears she couldn't hide. That night, sitting in the barn, Daisy the horse nuzzled her cheek as if to comfort her. Emily finally broke. She whispered into the darkness, "I can't take it anymore." With trembling fingers, she dialed her father's number. He picked up on the second ring. His voice was filled with concern. And that was it, the dam broke. Emily sobbed, telling him everything she had endured for months. The silence on the other end was deafening, until Jonathan finally spoke. "Emily, listen to me. You should never have had to suffer in silence. Tomorrow, it ends. I promise you." The next morning, the school parking lot was unrecognizable. Black SUVs rolled in, men in suits stepped out, and agents took positions at every corner. The whispers among students turned to fear. Nobody understood what was happening until the principal's voice echoed through the intercom. "Chase Miller, Amber Lewis, and several others, please report to the office immediately." When the bullies walked in, smug and clueless, their smiles vanished. Sitting in the principal's office was Jonathan Carter himself, towering, sharp-eyed, and